Welcome to this short demonstration to show how we can use Jenkins X to automate CI and CD on Kubernetes. So I've already installed Jenkins X on Google Cloud. If I type JX get end, we'll see we've got three environments: development, staging, and production for my team. If I type JX get app, you can see we've got no applications deployed at all right now. Okay, so let's clear my screen. Let's create a brand new Spring Boot application. So JX create Spring, we'll create a brand new Spring Boot application. We pick which programming language we wish to use. I'll go with Java. Which group ID, we'll go with the default. Let's give this a funky name. JX is awesome. Which Spring Boot dependencies do we wish to use? We'll pick web and actuator. It's going to use my GitHub name. I'll use the default commit message. So now it's going to create the project, initialize a Git repository. Now it's going to, once it's created a Git repository, it's going to push that up to my Git provider, which is GitHub. It's going to pick which project, which owner do we wish to use. I'll go with my personal one. What repository name? I'll go with JX is awesome. So now it's going to push the source code up into GitHub. And once it's pushed the source code to GitHub, it's going to set up all the CI and CD pipelines for this project. So you'll see, if I click on this URL, we'll see here's the Git repository. The Git repo we've just created with the normal Spring Boot source code, which has all come from the start.spring.io Spring Boot initializer. So it's a canonical Hello World Spring application. You might also notice we've run the Jenkins X build pack, so we've generated a bunch of extra files like a Docker file, a Jenkins file, some Helm charts, and scaffold. So it's a canonical Spring Boot application, but it's got all the files necessary to set up all the CI and CD pipelines and package things up as a Docker image and deploy them into Kubernetes via Helm. Now, you don't need to worry about the contents of any of these source code files, but if you really care and you really want to tweak the Docker file or the Jenkins file or the scaffold or the Helm charts, you can just edit the code. It's all in GitHub. So we don't hide anything. We're not wrapping anything. Everything's right there in Git. But most of the time, you can just focus on your application source code and ignore all these metadata files that do the detail of CI and CD. So if I type this magic command here, we'll be able to watch what's happening in the pipeline. So we'll see, because we've pushed the source code to GitHub and we pushed to the master branch, it's already triggered the release pipeline. So you can see that pipeline 1 on master for JX is awesome is chugging along. So we're now going to be checking the source code out from Git, running all the tests and check everything compiles. We're going to generate, in this case, a jar, an executable jar, because it's Spring Boot. We're going to package up that executable jar as a Docker image, push that to the Docker registry. Then we're going to make an immutable Helm chart. Again, everything's going to be tagged with a new version, 001. The next time we do the same thing, it'll be 002. If ever you wish to jump ahead in version numbers, you can either explicitly tag the repository yourself with, say, 100, then the next release will be 101 and so forth. So the release pipeline is doing the release of all the immutable infrastructure. If I click on the releases tab, we've created a tag right now. So we've tagged automatically all the sources 001. So each release gets its own version number and a tag. And in a few moments' time, we'll generate the change log, and then we'll start the promotion through GitOps. So we've typed in one command, and it's automatically set up the Git repository, all the webhooks, and all the pipelines to do CI and CD. So I'll give this another moment or two, and this should hopefully complete the release. Incidentally, if you want to look at this using the traditional Jenkins console, if I open a new tab and I type JX console, this will open Jenkins. There we go, and there's Jenkins. Let me switch back to this tab now. And you can see that this is the Jenkins JX is awesome pipeline. This is the project that's been created. And if I look at it in the Jenkins console, you can see the release has been performed, and now it's starting to promote to the environments. You'll see the same thing in the command line if you're a command line kind of person. So you can see release 001 has been completed, and now it's starting to promote. So we've got the 001 release, and now we're promoting to our environments. You'll see now we've created a pull request. Just before we go there, I'll just show, if I reload this page, we've generated a nice change log, which has details of all the changes we've done and all the commits that have happened. So we've got a nice change log with links to the source code and everything. If I click on this URL for the pull request, we'll see this is a pull request which is used to promote 001 into the staging environment. So notice this is a staging repository. So in Jenkins X, each environment gets its own Git repository, and that repository stores all of the metadata for which applications are going to be running in staging or production. So Jenkins X, to promote JX is awesome to the staging environment 001, we've generated this pull request which makes this change. And here's the change. So we've added 3 lines of YAML to the requirements.yaml file, which is a standard Helm chart file. So we've added the new application. That's the name of the application. That's the chart repository, and this is the version. So we've generated a pull request with 3 lines in it. The reason it's 3 lines is because this is the first time we've ever deployed this application. The next time we go to 001, it will just change 1 line, which is the version from 001 to 002. So notice because we've generated a pull request, that's also triggered a new CI pipeline, which has validated validated the pull request, checked that the image is valid, checked that the Helm chart is correct, and so forth. And you can see that the CI job completed and this pull request merged. So we've now merged the change to the staging environment. So that's all automatically merged for us, which is great. So now another pipeline is triggered on the master branch of the staging environment's Git repository, which is going to actually apply this change, so that we've proposed the change via Git, via GitOps. The change has been approved via CI, and then it's going to trigger another pipeline, which is going to merge the change. And if you look here, you can see the pull request has been merged, so that's all good. And now the update to the environment is now triggered. If we click into Jenkins, we'll see, if we go into the homepage of Jenkins, we'll see there's a pipeline running the staging. There's the pipeline running the staging environment, and the staging environment pipeline is going to apply this JX command, which is going to apply the Helm chart in the environment. So in a moment or two, this application will be deployed to staging. So what's basically just happened, we typed 1 command, we've created a brand new project, it's automated all the CI and the CD for the project. Whenever we merge to master, we create a new immutable release, both from a jar, a POM, a Docker image, and a Helm chart. Then we promote this version to whichever environments we wish. By default, it automatically goes to the staging environment. And as soon as this pipeline finishes, your application should be running live in the staging environment. And there you see the pipeline is finished. If I look back here, we can see the whole pipeline for version 1 is complete. And we'll see there's a little URL here. If I click on that URL, we'll see the application is now running in the staging environment. I can also type JX get app, and we can see all the applications that are running, in this case, in the staging environment. So we can see JX Awesome version 001 is running 1 pod, and it's running in the staging environment here. And if I click on that URL, we can see here's the Hello World application for Spring running in the staging environment. So we type 1 command, we create a brand new Spring Boot application, and it's automatically done a release and moved this to the staging environment by GitOps promotion. Now we can create pull requests on this application to try out changes. So let's go into the source code. JX is awesome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy a magic file from my desktop to the source folder. I need to make that recursive copy. There we go. If I do a git status, we've added a file. So git add all these files. Oops, sorry, too many sources. We'll add this file to Git. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new file status, because the home page isn't too hot right now. This is the default home page you get with a Spring Boot application. So let's add a new home page. Let's also create a new issue. Create issue. Improve home page. So we'll create an issue so it's easy to track what's going on. So there's a new issue being created in GitHub. Now I'm going to create a branch, git checkout -b changes. And what I want to do is make my changes on a branch so that I can then make a pull request, and we can do all of our changes through a pull request so we can keep master clean and only merge to master when the pull request works. So if I do a git commit, -a -m, fix home page, and it fixes issue number 1. There we go, and git push. So we've pushed that to our new branch. There we go. And if I do JX repo, that's going to open the Git repository because I've forgotten where it was. and we'll see GitHub is telling us, would I like to create a pull request for this? So we say, oh, yes, please. Resize this bit. Compare and create pull request. Yes, let's create a pull request. Fix homepage. Yeah, that looks good. Create pull request. So I made a fairly simple code change, and I've created a pull request on this repository I've just created. Now you should see in a few moments, let's shrink this web page down a little bit. You should see in a few moments the CI pipeline should trigger. So we saw previously that there's a release pipeline that triggers whenever we merge to the master branch. We also have pull request pipelines that whenever we create a pull request, we automatically create a pipeline for pull requests. And what that does is that runs CI on all of your pull requests to check, does the code compile? Do the tests still pass? Have you kind of broken anything? We also do something else where we create a preview environment so we can test out our changes live in Kubernetes. And you can see the pull request is just completed. So you see the CI job has gone green, all the checks are passed, so we're ready to merge whenever we've reviewed this. And notice this says pull request built and available in this preview environment. So if I click on that link in the new tab, there we go, there's the link. This is the preview. Deployed the pull request code before we've merged. And this is the new application running. You can see in the URL, this is the pull request. This is the name of the application. This is repository. So pull request is now running live in this preview environment. So we can validate the code, check it looks good. Is that a better homepage? Yes, it is. So we can review the code as a team, give feedback. When we're all happy, someone can click merge, and then we can merge the change. And now this is going to trigger a new release. So we've merged into the master. So if I now do the JX get activity, we'll see pipeline number 2 is about to start. There we go, pipeline 2 is triggering along. So now we're about to release 002. So we set up a brand new application with one command. We've created a pull request that's automatically validated the pull request. It's used a preview environment so we can review the changes. And this is all automated completely for you. So we've got releases and preview environments on pull requests, all from one single command to create a new Spring Boot application in Jenkins X. Pretty cool.